Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Dragon Talk. We have Amorette Terrell with us. Hello.
Yay, Amorette!
Yay! Studio audience
It's
loves
like a
you.
birthday party.
We're so excited. We have cupcakes. Oh, wait, no, we don't
I
have
wish we
cupcakes.
did.
I know.
There's
All right.
pizza downstairs.
That counts.
What?
That totally counts.
What are we doing up here?
Are they doing like a pre-release or
There
something?
must be some
downstairs?
magic event. Magic and their pizza.
They always have so much fun.
They always have pizza.
Well, we're excited that you came all the way from Salem
I'm glad to be here.
in Massachusetts, right?
No, Oregon.
Where the
Oregon.
witches.
Nah.
Oh, still cool.
There's
Yeah.
plenty of witches in Salem, Oregon.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
There's witches everywhere.
they're
I'm in a coven.
they're
Don't
in the,
forget.
oh, of course.
Yep.
Yeah. What do you do in the coven?
We just chat.
Make cupcakes.
Chat coven.
Welcome to Coven Talk.
Yes.
There's an idea.
That's it.
I actually love that idea.
Let's do it.
And I'm like, don't know if I can do this interview because I am mesmerized by your eye makeup.
Ah, thank you.
It's so cool.
It's very sparkly.
Sparkly.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I love the sparkly. It's torn pixie for a reason because the sparkly flying things.
What's the torn part? It makes me a little sad. I'm not going to lie. A torn pixie.
When I first started illustrating Fae Folk, I really was drawn to the idea of pixies having really torn up, shredded wings if they've
kinda
been in
makes
battle.
sense,
So
yeah.
it's like, it's just, I've never quite gotten it down the way I wanted until recently, as far as an illustration itself. But it was just, hey, this would look cool.
It would. And it sounds cool.
Yeah, because you usually picture pixies or fairies as like picturesque and like they can't do anything wrong. But right, there is, if they were in battle, if they were fighting,
Yeah.
they would have scars
They
like
have
anybody
battle
else.
wounds.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and if you really study Fae creatures, you get to know that they aren't sweet, wholesome creatures. None of them are.
Yeah.
There's, and it's not so much a duality of good versus bad so much as it is a range. Like, I don't really believe in alignments as alignments. It's more of a scale. What's right is right based on your field of view.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and the Feywild is not inherently evil or good. It's just different and fey,
Yeah.
for lack of a better word, right? Yeah. So where do you stand? This is getting down to the brass tacks right away.
Whoa.
Where do you stand on Secret of the Wings as far as fairy goes for the Tinkerbell movie? Do you never watch the Tinkerbell movies? All right.
I've got 5-year-olds. I've seen one or two.
Yeah, I figured you had. So there was a whole thing with torn wings in that and how they can't fly anymore.
Yeah, no, they can still fly. The wings are, they're for looks.
Yeah.
That's not where the flight comes from.
Right, because it's the
So-
pixie dust.
Well, it's not even the dust. It's the energy.
Right.
It's,
I know nothing about pixies. What do you mean? The wings are just aesthetics? It's just
Yeah.
an accessory?
Yep.
And I don't like the message that Tinkerbell's sending that if you have something, you're damaged, so now you can't do the
Yeah.
one thing that, like,
Totally not true.
come on,
Oh, well.
fix it.
I'm.
Change it, Tinkerbell.
That's not what the message is of that thing. It's at the end of one long event. She does it to save her whole world. She keeps flying through the cold, which is why her wing gets torn.
Okay.
I
And then-
wouldn't necessarily do that, though.
And then her sister, who has the matching wing pattern, puts their wings together, and then they magically get healed at the end. Spoiler alert for Secret of the Wings.
Great,
there.
Tito.
I just love those movies though because
Did
at
you
least
cry? Did you cry when it
several
happened?
times. Yeah, I cry a lot during those
I know.
those
But
Tinkerbell movies.
I love that about you.
Most
sensitive.
young people I know that have watched that movie haven't been upset about it being spoiled. They're kind of like really anxious. Does this get fixed, or is she like forever not flying anymore? So
That is very true. The whole idea of a spoiler is anathema to a 5-year-old because
Right.
once they watch the movie, they want to watch it again immediately.
yeah,
Right, and it's just almost new again to
Exactly, that's true.
2 seconds later.
them. So they don't get, that is not how pixies fly, wings.
No.
This is like mind-blowing.
It's more of a spiritual energy type thing. Appearance can change, drop of a thought too. I mean, on that, it's kind of like the Eldrin, like with a lot of the Fae races in D&D, you see bits and pieces of stuff from various Fae lore, and you can really actually put it all together and put a single being together
That's so
just
cool.
from the pieces.
Have you always been fascinated with the Fae?
Yeah,
What was it about them that drew you to them?
the otherness, the fact that they could be anything at any time, really. And just whenever they decided, or whenever they felt it, or just
You mean like through illusion and how they project themselves, like that type of thing?
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That's pretty cool. Yeah. And you've drawn them a lot? You've done a lot of artwork with them?
I've done a bit. I don't have anything within the last couple of years. I've been focusing a little bit more towards regular humanoid type, and had my own struggles there.
Yeah. What came first, though? Your love of pixies and pixies or D&D?
I would say Fae stuff first.
And then when you discovered D&D, was it like, oh my God,
It was. I
they're
desperately
here too?
Yeah. Well, it was. I desperately have to play, and the first character I rolled together was a high elf ranger, but I did not get to play for nearly 20 years after that.
Oh, wow.
Well, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Your first foray into D&D.
So that was the first one I rolled up was in high school, and it was at my best friend's house. And her brother was going to DM, and we had a group together, and we spent a good 3 nights doing character creation
Oh, wow.
and set up a date to play. And it never happened.
Oh,
It never
no.
happened.
Why?
It's like, you made me write like this. The reason it took so long was there was this requirement on this huge backstory. So we've spent all this investment, and it was because his best friend had to move suddenly, and so he was like,
Oh.
"No, I'm not in for it now." And it's like, "Oh,
Aw.
okay."
Oh, no.
Do you still have the character sheet, though?
No, I've moved so much.
So what did you do with that character? You just built this character and then never got to
it.
play it.
Yep.
Well, I feel like we owe it to this character to talk about her or him or.
I don't even remember anything about him other than most likely he was pretty much Legolas, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Mm.
I feel like that's true of a lot of people's first D&D character.
Right.
Yeah.
They pick an archetype and go
Yep.
with it. Mine
Yep.
was also a I think half elf ranger.
Yep.
That was kind of my go-to because of Tannis half elven as well as the whole ranger thing. I was
Yep.
always fascinated with.
They're fun.
Yeah.
Fun. When I finally got around to my first game, it was about 5 years ago, so shortly after 5e actually released. And my first one was a half-elf druid that I have affectionately started calling my disaster druid because she was a disaster. And some of it was on me and not understanding how to roll stuff out. I leveled horribly my first 6 levels because I didn't get the math.
Yeah.
But no, she was
Pre-D&D
awesome.
Beyond.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well,
exactly.
She was awesome, though, because 3rd session in, and a few people may have heard this story, we go to this she meets this sweet old lady druid and follows her back to her cave that is littered with skulls. Littered with skulls.
Such a happy, nice
this
druid lady.
sweet
Yeah.
old lady druid.
It's a design choice.
And she asks my character Argwin to help her get this potion to this water source. It was very, very vitally important to the point where she was going to send her own familiar along with, just to make sure I got the right water source.
Wow.
Well, clearly not a druid, but a necromancer. This water source was the Fountain of Youth,
Oh.
of which my character, of course, did put that potion in, completely disrupting the balance of good and evil and killing an entire civilization in one go.
What? It really is a disaster druid.
Yes, I love her.
Was this like a kickoff event, or was this like already like a couple years into a campaign? Like,
No, this was 3rd session in, and I don't think the DM was prepared for any of it.
Wow, that's some improvisational chops
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah. So we have all that happen. The other thing, and it's headcanon for her now. She was Circle of the Moon, so her big thing is she wild shapes. But in her background, she had wanderlust at age 7, basically raised herself, got addicted to mushrooms.
Like Shelley.
It can happen.
So when your Circle of the Moon druid is constantly in an altered state of mind,
Wow.
maybe during combat is not the time to wild shape because that poor animal cannot handle
Oh my
that stuff in its
God.
blood system. I nat 1'd every roll, if I wild shaped. It's weird. It's the weirdest thing.
What? Like, did you have disadvantage? Like, how does
No,
or
I
is it
just
just
crit
like
failed.
really like the dice were
The
just
die would do it.
incredibly
Like I could
unlucky.
have advantage, and the DM occasionally was like, "No, roll that again. No, roll that again." He checked the balance of my dice, even had me try other people's dice. No,
Really?
Wow.
There's
it was
some
because of the
sorcery
potion.
going on.
Yeah.
It's
It was
because the
fun.
potion that you threw in there.
How do you
got-
play a
cursed.
character that's addicted to mushroom? Like, do you have to like actually like alter your stats in some way?
I
Or
don't
you
think
just-
I needed to. It just
You just had some crazy dice.
The die did it for me. They're like,
That makes sense.
all right, you said this, and I don't know why, but you said this, so this is what's going to happen.
Nice.
I
Interesting.
fully believe dice can tell the story all on their own.
Yes. The dice had a story to tell.
And to role play it out as well.
Yeah.
Being like, oh, yeah, I need to get the next mushroom fix.
Yeah, well, and there was the whole poor creature that everyone's in combat, and here Arguin is as a bear rolling around on the ground drooling.
Oh, so cute, though.
Yeah,
You just want
yeah.
to kind of play with that bear.
Yeah, you
Rarely took damage. It wasn't a problem.
tweaking bear. So
Yeah.
you go play with that bear.
Oh, little tweaky bear.
Oh, tweaky bear.
She was sweet. She was sweet.
That is pretty awesome. I do like playing characters that have not necessarily like addictions, but like habits. You know, because it ends up being a nice affectation to do. I had one that was always a fire sorcerer, essentially, who, as part of their worship of their fire god, they would smoke. Basically pot, but it was something else in the canon, and so that was like my punchline to like any joke was like, oh well, I don't care, I'm just gonna and
Did you role play that?
not really. No, it was more of like affect,
Method
like
acting.
smoking a pipe in like a character would do like a Sherlock Holmes or something like that. I kind of just did it like as a way to get through social situations and like that. But I didn't play like, ugh, I'm so hungry. Where are the cops?
Where are the cops? Give me some Cheetos.
Are Cheetos in this world?
I don't know what this thing is, but I'm seeing Cheetos. These orange puffy goodness.
I want to patent them.
What? But I'm curious about playing these characters that are like, what if your character goes to a tavern and gets drunk? Like, how that would affect you, and then especially if you had to go into combat or needed your reflexes. So what would you just like make if you were the DM, make the character roll with disadvantage, or actually like, I don't know. Like,
I think disadvantage
kinda-
is a good way to do it. Well, how would you do it?
I usually have them do a Constitution roll to determine if they are actually affected by it first.
oh,
And then if they're not, then it's like, all right, you would roll normally. But if you are affected, yeah, it's roll disadvantage.
okay.
So-
Could be like it was just oregano.
Or it was just a bunk lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Happens.
It happens.
Bad batch.
Pacific Northwest. We
Yeah.
know it. We know it to be true. You could also do exhaustion, I think, you know, if it was like a long bender or something like that. You could
Yeah.
be like, all right, now you have
yeah.
a few levels of exhaustion.
Oh,
And
yeah,
that
definitely.
kind of
Or make them play with a hangover.
Well,
And they would
hangover-
just have disadvantage on everything.
Yeah.
For a long time.
That's pretty much all your characters.
At my age, disadvantage lasts like days. You can't shake those things anymore.
It's true. It's
Yeah.
true. And so as your character gets older, you have to
Yes.
start to model that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even
No,
in-
you don't.
Nah, you don't. It's a
Even it's
fantasy game.
fantasy.
I can do anything. I
Anything
can
I want.
fly.
Even with torn wings.
Nice.
Apparently don't need them.
So this character sounds awesome, even though she was a disaster druid. Have you continued to play with that character?
We played for a good 2.5 years
Wow.
before the campaign got broken.
Uh-oh, did Disaster Druid break the campaign?
Nope. We had a point where we swelled to 21 players.
21
What?
players.
It was
And one-
nuts.
What?
Let's say it wasn't the funnest at that point because, of course, you had to be prepared with what you were going to do in combat.
Right.
Oh,
Took ages, but I mean, at the time we were usually going 8-9 hours, anyways.
Whoa. Right.
They
So
were
tell me
all
about these
in
sessions.
the
How did it get to 21 players?
yeah.
My
Like-
DM
let's
just
start
wanted
there.
to play with all of his friends,
And this was
when
in
people
Salem?
were-
Instead of running multiple games, he was like, he or she, your DM.
He.
He's just like, come
Yeah.
on, join this game.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I mean, it was great, but the one that really, ruined it was the night one of the players used their wish to get the deck of many things.
Oh dear.
And they pulled another wish, and they wished for 2 more decks for 2 more players.
Oh, so then it just became
Full
21
decks.
people playing this crazy game of Russian D&D roulette.
Yeah, well, what really did it was the level disparity between the different characters, because where we ended, most of the characters are level 11, but one of the ones that ended up with the deck of many really was past level 20.
Wow.
Which doesn't exist. There's nothing there. So there's this issue of reconciling that. There's the fact that time has passed and a lot of players aren't available. And some of the characters were tied together. My character's tied to one of the players that's no longer there. If that character's not there, my character dies.
Oh,
Yeah, because they are that tied together. And it's like, no.
oh my God.
Like, I figured out a way that we could go forward, but it's still working out the rest of it. Because she's a druid, cannibalism is a thing. And I was like, let's take some of the spiritual elements of this. She'll cannibalize her sister and absorb her spirit energy so that she doesn't die. So
And that's
then
what
she
ended
did
the
that?
campaign.
that's not end of the campaign. That's just, this is how we're able to go forward. But after that, figuring out everyone else's stuff, the huge level disparity and everything. I mean,
Right.
It's
It does seem like hey, let's reset this with 5 or 6 players
Yeah.
maximum, and then do what Shelley was saying, have different groups rather than because we've heard from people who have 21 players is a lot of players, but you can split that up into 3
Yeah.
or 4
Yeah.
groups, and then have them all be in the same world and have them all interact with what's happening on
Yeah.
the meta level, and maybe even have players swap
Yeah,
nights
that
and
could
things
be
like
really
that,
cool.
and that would
Yeah.
be really interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we'll see what happens.
food for thought for that dungeon master.
Is that a pun?
Yes, it's cannibalism. Cannibalism pun for y'all.
Food for thought for Disaster Druid. But you're also a dungeon master.
Yes.
Okay, so who was the one who prophesized you will be a DM one day?
That same DM at our first session when I insisted on having access to the Dungeons Master's Guide because I needed to understand everything before I played. And yeah,
And did you read through it and
I read
get
through
a sense?
it and
You
made
did?
a lot of mistakes for a long time. I pushed really heavily onto, hey, when are we doing planar travel? When are we doing planar travel? Can we go to the Feywilds? Can we go to the Shadow Realm? Ooh, can we go to all these other different places? We did eventually go to City of Brass, and that was terrifying.
Oh wow.
So
Yeah. But that's really exciting that you were able to see. I mean, because that's what the Dungeon Master's Guide I think is so awesome, is that it gives that inspiration to travel to
Yeah.
things that are outside of what you may think of as
Yeah.
the normal D&D story.
Yeah.
And you
Of-
can play that into your character. Your character could just be a knowledgeable character that loves to travel, that has
crazy things happen with altered state of mind.
yeah.
That's
So-
right.
Ah, there
You're
you
like,
go.
maybe I'm on this other plane, but I
Yep.
don't even know it.
I don't know,
Yeah.
but I want to go back.
Yeah. So,
Horizon Walker. Got to get one of those characters who is all about planar travel between different areas and have that be the campaign.
yep.
Yeah. So when you kept on telling your dungeon master, I want to go there, did you just be like, all right, I'm just going to make my own campaign and take my players there?
No, it wasn't until about 6 months ago I started DMing myself, and it's in a homebrew world, which there's actually a magic mechanic I'm playing with that we're almost there, but I'm still not quite happy with.
So it's a low magic world?
It's a chaos magic world.
Oh.
So then the initial way it works, which is one of the things that makes it kind of awkward and it's hard to play at a physical table, is you roll a d30 to figure out where on the scale it falls, and then you roll a d4 to determine the severity of where
Oh, I
it
see.
falls on the good, neutral, great. Well, not good, the oh no. Neutral. Worst thing that happens is you open up a portal and draw a random creature in from anywhere.
What?
Yeah.
And this is anytime you cast a spell?
Anytime you cast a spell that is not either inherently a class thing, so basically if it is not a level 1 spell, you've got a problem. If it's level 1 or above, you've got a problem. If it's a cantrip or something you get as a racial bonus, you're fine because it's inherent. It just happens for you.
Got it.
So
So then if a player casts a spell above level 1 and they're going to basically pull in a random creature,
Depending on what
Potentially.
the die roll would be.
so how do you determine what the creature is?
That is up to the DM on that one.
Do you, has it happened?
There's
Yeah, has it happened?
has. We've had a couple abyssal creatures come in. which were
What do they do
terrifying.
when they come in? Are they just like, oh,
Some of them are really
I'm in a new
attackable,
world. Oh.
and others just kind of wander off. It really depends
that also
on
up
the
to the DM?
temperament. Yeah.
Depends on if they're on mushroom.
kind of making DMing sound really fun, I gotta admit.
It's chaos.
Only
like chaos.
6 months ago when she took the leap.
Yeah, but she was a born DM. She wanted her
According-
hands on that book.
You don't want your hands on that book.
It's got some really good lore bits.
It does. Yes. I actually have read through the 5th edition DMG because I love tables.
Tables are awesome.
Yep. Love this table. It's holding my water.
So you're, in addition to all of the TRPGs that you're playing, you're also an artist.
Yes.
And do you do digital art, physical art?
I don't do as much physical art as I used to. I do a lot of digital. A friend of mine gifted me a tablet about a year back, and I started doing digital then. And boy, so much better than, well, I'd done it before, but it wasn't the same because mouse and keyboard digital art it's hard. It is so hard. So,
Yeah, you gotta have the Wacom thing. Is that what they're called?
you can have a Wacom. I personally use an XP pen, which is a lot more affordable.
Right, and that's you can use a tablet to
Yeah, it's a
do
tablet.
stuff. Right.
Yep.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
That is cool.
What kind of stuff are you making?
I largely do character art. I do some environmental. And then I do graphics for other streamers a lot too.
Character art like by commission or just
On the
what?
rare commission, but other times it's just, hey, I felt like doing this
Oh, yeah.
character.
Cool.
So,
What's been the thing you're most proud of recently?
illustration of one of my other characters, Jean-Luc Chandra, which was from one of the other campaigns with this same first DM I had, who was a human monk that was slowly turning into a dragon. I didn't illustrate that bit, but I illustrated him in his like full gear, and
Oh, that's cool.
he's awesome.
Have you illustrated Disaster Druid?
Not
Kind of
digitally.
curious about her.
Not digitally.
Shelley's, I think, gonna steal a disaster
Eventually.
I
druid.
don't like her. I
Even-
don't want to play with
eventually,
her.
yeah.
I'm interested in her.
She did have a name though, right? What?
Arguin.
Arguin.
Argwin.
Yep. Eventually, I'll get her illustrated, but it's just that's my baby.
Yeah.
So.
Right. It takes a lot of time to get that set in stone, right? When you're like, this is the look of
Well, yeah.
something that had been in your mind for a long time.
I have an idea because I'd done a physical version, but I've come a long way with my art since then, and it's like, okay, redrawing this and capturing the same essence, you know, and getting her Rod of Perfect Resurrection done because he reskinned it, because being a half-elf, a regular rod she couldn't touch because the
Oh.
metal. So it's like, it's a living branch
That's
with
cool.
leaves and flowers flowing around it. It's like, that's awesome. and that was largely because until I started having her wild shape, she did take a lot of combat damage. And because I didn't roll my dice properly, she was very squishy. Extremely squishy.
Oh,
and
no.
there was a point he was like, you know, you should have a lot more HP. I'm like, I just don't. And he
I
rolled
keep
it, and
rolling
he
the
rolled
ones and
it,
the
and I rolled
twos.
it, and he's like, yeah, no, you did your math wrong somewhere. Here, I'm going to roll out your HP. Here's your new HP. Thank you.
Aw, what a gift.
Yes. So,
Don't want bears just dying all around. You know, you gotta have
No.
them vivacious and alive.
yeah.
So, what kind of DM would you say you are? You were telling me a story on our way into the studio that I think you're
I do
up for a challenge.
Yeah. I do some loose planning. I've learned recently I can't plan as much as I thought I could
Good lesson.
because a couple of my players are chaos players. I'd had this encounter planned out with a beholder for a while, and we finally get to it. And rather than killing this beholder, we have one of the players that actually is actively attacking. we have this beholder trying to attack back, but wouldn't you know it, the one time I need my dice to behave well as a DM, crit fail every roll of that
What?
session.
Wow.
So we have this beholder that can't use eye rays on anything because why? I don't know. I don't know. Just can't hit. And we have this succubus who decides she's going to hug it
The
and
beholder?
make friends.
Oh.
Oh, she felt bad for him.
And so the player used their charisma. And where I was critical failing, they were getting success.
Oh, no.
And it's like, fine, fine, fine.
The beholder loves you.
Yeah, I actually have an emote for my channel that fits very well. Fits very well. It is a very happy looking beholder.
So the beholder joined the party?
Did until last session when they let it sleep and it spawned 2 more beholders. And they're like, you know what? This is dangerous. Why don't you just hang out in your lair? And he's like, yeah, I figured that'd happen.
Oh.
But now there's 2 more beholders in the world.
No, they killed him.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Party killed the baby beholders?
Well, they're not babies.
In
When
my
beholders,
mind, they're new beholders.
when beholders are formed, so beholders come
When
from
a
the dreams
beholder
of
and a
other
beholder
beholders.
love each other.
We had this conversation, remember?
Yeah, I do.
No. So what happens is beholders, when they sleep, if they dream of other beholders,
Yes.
those beholders come into existence. They're not
So
born
weird.
in the same. They're abyssal. So
They're aberrations. They're
They,
just weird
if they
ass
dream
things.
of other beholders, those beholders become real.
Mm-hmm.
Not
And
babies. They're
if-
full-grown beholders.
Full-grown beholders.
If they dream of the beholders and the beholders look just like them, there's no issue. It's just copies of themselves. If they dream of them and there is a variation to any degree, they are mortal enemies. These ones had differences. They were mortal enemies.
Oh, so they started fighting each other.
So
Yep.
they were all. Do all of them fight each other? Did all
Yeah.
3? Like even the 2 new ones?
Yep. And then the party got there, and, well, and then my rolls did their thing again. the original beholder did okay. The other 2.
Oh, man. Was it just like not recharging or like your attacks weren't
It's
rolling?
just the ones again. The ones again.
Oh, man.
I wonder some days if I'm related to Will Wheaton. I really do. Because it's like, why is this happening?
Hey, your dice are like big
These were
swings.
digital.
They're
They're
These
digital
were digital
dice.
and it still happened. And it's
Wow.
like, I've gotten to the point where I actually have a set that I use specifically when I'm DMing. And yes, I use them when I'm playing and streaming online now because I'm like, I can't have this anymore. These are trained. These are well behaved. If it happens, it's meant to happen. It's not just
It's a good
dumb
attitude.
luck.
Do you ever just want to cheat when you're a DM? Like, oh my god, I'm just gonna pretend that was an 11.
Not really, because again, I really believe the dice can really tell the story.
Yeah,
So
well, that's good.
it can make things difficult. It's definitely changed the story I wanted to tell. So
That's where you got to roll with the punches and improv,
Mm-hmm.
make it happen. What do you use when you play online?
currently, I use Roll20
Yeah,
just because it has the built-in dice roller.
right.
So
And the fog of war thing is
it's tricky.
yeah.
It's tricky. So I've learned how to use the darkness, but to use the advanced fog of war, I still don't get it. It's like,
It's a little bit tough.
yeah.
I know.
There's-
Stuck on the beholder still.
You like want to create more. Don't go to sleep. Don't go to sleep, Shelly.
They have to
That's
sleep.
when
What
Freddie.
if-
That's when Freddie comes.
Can you imagine if every time we slept, who we had dreams about came?
Isn't that what happened with Quinn?
I dreamed about this little baby. Oh, kind of actually.
Right? And Kesha. That's what happened with
Kinda
Kesha.
totally with Kesha. 100%.
We have headcanon that Shelly is Kesha's mother. You know that, right?
I had caught that one, but it came in pretty quick there.
It's true.
It's real. That's happened.
Yeah, you have to notice how we both spell our names.
with the dollar sign.
Oh, I did see that earlier. Yes.
Thanks, Pelham.
Making it happen.
Making it happen. So you mentioned live streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Where and what are you live streaming?
On Twitch.
Okay.
And I live stream the two homebrew games that I'm in currently. So there's one that I'm a player and then another where I DM. So I stream those. I stream my writing process when I'm in the mood for actually writing.
How do you stream your writing process?
I window capture my my documents that I'm writing in, and I talk about it and get feedback from chat.
Like feedback on what you're writing, like they'll help guide
Help
the
guide,
writing.
like,
or?
hey, well, like when I first did one of the races, because one of the races that I will be bringing in is definitely Pixie, and they're like, I'm like, this feels unbalanced. What do we need to change here? And they're like, well, this would be a good idea. It's like, we could play this out of it and see how this works.
Do you get good feedback?
I do. I get a lot of people who have been longtime players and have played through various editions that are like, well, hey, you could bring this thing in from 2.5 or this thing from 4. Or
Oh, that's really cool.
yeah, it's great.
That's very vulnerable, I feel like. Like live streaming playing a game is one thing, but to like you and your screen and your writing process, to me it feels like, oh my gosh, shame. Like nobody can just see like that blank page.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 delete, delete, delete. Blah, blah.
That's how I write. It is a lot of like, wait, no, that's stupid.
Oh, it sounds so dumb.
Yeah, get rid of
And
that.
then the Bachelorette did this stuff. I mean, that's basically what you'd be saying. But
Do you talk it through when you're
Yeah.
typing? Like, do you like type talk?
A little bit. Depends on where I'm at. Last time I did that, I realized I hadn't done any of the introduction stuff, which is like most books, you open them, you have your title page, you have your chapter layout, and then you have an introduction, which I was missing. And I was like, before I go any further, maybe we should give people an idea of what this book is about. So,
Yeah.
maybe.
Give a little intro.
yeah.
Yeah. What is the book about? What's the intro?
Yeah, tell us.
Tell us.
Let's go through the writing process.
It's gonna be a Fey setting. I'm not sure if it's necessarily gonna be Feywilds, but it talks a little bit about what my inspiration was on writing it, which is my love of Fey folk in the first place, and 5e being setting agnostic. It could be literally anywhere,
Yeah.
which is great. It's like there's a flexibility there. A lot of people will sit there, well, what setting is it? What setting do you want it to be?
Right.
You
Yeah.
know,
It could be anywhere. It could be our world. That's a little bit different. That's what I like about the Fae
Yeah.
too, is that there's such a wealth of mythology around the Fae in England, as well as like the Elfin and Norse mythology and
Yep.
all that. How they're very interrelated there.
I can say I'm definitely going with a heavy Scottish, Irish, English adaptation of
Celtic.
them into. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. With a lot more of the core stuff there. I've got stuff that dips into existing mythologies far as what the module end's going to look at, because I'm doing a setting and a module because I don't know how to just dip a toe and I cannonball in the middle of the pool. So
Nice.
That's good.
I like that. Yeah, that sounds like. And how large of a project is the book? Is it just a module, or as you say, is it going to end up
it's
being?
going to be a setting and a module. They're going to be separate books. The module is going to be Fables of the Famists. And then I'm still kind of playing around with the name on the setting itself.
Cool.
So
I'm excited.
That's so cool. So
Yeah.
when you're building a world, like, are you just going for it? Or do you know, like, is there like, well, first you must start with this environment and then you have to think about the type of creatures that inhabit this? Like, what's the process for like building a world from scratch? That seems...
I kind of bounce around. I think I initially started with what the world looks like in a physical sense.
Yeah.
And just kind of a rough idea of what the starting map would look like for the module. And then from there it's not consistent. It's anywhere and everywhere as ideas pop in.
Yeah, that
So.
seems... Where do you get your ideas from?
I don't know.
They just come...
They-
you
they
dream
just-
about them?
From the mushrooms.
You could get some very interesting ideas. So I'm told.
I know some
So I'm
of
told.
them.
Allegedly.
Some of it comes from books. Some of it comes from, like I said, existing myths. Some of it comes from media. Sometimes I read something and I get an idea and I'm like, okay, but what if it's this, but this? So,
The combining, the making, synergy,
yeah.
synthesis, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned children, and you have children. A pair of 5-year-olds.
Yes.
Are you playing any, do you introduce them to D&D yet, or any type of role-playing?
Their first dice they got were nice big. I think they're the 30 millimeter ones.
Nice.
When they were less than a year old, because we would go to our weekly session, and those girls would not go to bed for anything. for anything. They wanted to stay up for the games, or we would
Yes.
have complete meltdowns and couldn't play. So it's like, all right, we just let them play. So we got them their first die. I recently got them their second set of dies from various makers, and we've actually started about doing their first little game. Of course, that means you got to dumb it up a lot, because otherwise that is a lot of stuff for a 5-year-old to keep track of.
Sure.
So I've got a couple simplified sheets I've put together for them, and then I ask them, hey, what do you want your character to be, and what do you want your character's main goal to be? And so we're looking at one that is very retroverse, very kind of Mario in the fact that if you're playing Bowser and you're the one kidnapping the princess and storming the castle. So it's gonna be fun when I get to it.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fun. I think you're totally right though with dealing with 5-year-olds especially, is that it's more about the theme and rolling the die.
Yeah.
You know, if
Very
it's above
basic.
a 10, it's a success. If it's below, it doesn't matter. You don't have to worry about numbers or anything like that, and that makes it good for about a 45-minute session. And then you're like, all right, let's move
that
on to
long?
something else.
Really? I was going to say that their
Sometimes-
attention spans probably don't go for very long. But
Yeah.
It depends on the attention span, which varies from child to child. Some can like seriously focus on something for a while.
Yeah. Not
An
my,
iPad.
not my
this-
girls.
iPad.
The
Yeah.
slime video obsession has been consistent for 2 months now.
What is it with slime? I don't get it.
You
Everybody,
don't-
all
you
the
don't
kids
get
like
it.
the slime.
You don't get it until you play with it.
I've played with it. I'm like, yeah, this is gross.
Have you made it?
I mean, I've
Have you-
watched it be made.
Okay, until you make it and until you put other things in it, you don't quite get it. And maybe you don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get it until I made it for them.
Until you started.
And then what? Like you were like, this is awesome?
And then I had to make my own.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you like about the slime?
It's a texture thing,
Oh.
and the different textures you can make with different ingredients and adding different things in.
It does become like an alchemy kind of
Definitely.
thing
It's
Pretty
for a
easy
while.
to make, right? Is this the glue
Yeah.
and saline solution? And
You can do
borax.
the
Is
one
it
I
really?
do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I do is I use the PVA glues and a 1/4 cup of warm water and a 1/4 teaspoon of borax.
wow.
We got some borax if you want, because they only sell
Have you made
borax
it?
in big ass things.
Oh my god.
It's great for so many things. Just don't let your kids eat it.
Oh
I
yeah,
always
that's
thought
an
that it was
important
like-
safety tip there.
Yeah.
Very poisonous.
Yes.
It is. Yes.
I won't let them mix it because of that. It's like, mommy mixes this until it's well mixed so that you don't ever. And when you're done playing with it, you wash your hands. You don't put your hands near your mouth.
Oh, I can't do it. Quinn would be like, Mom,
Right.
do I have anything
What are you
right here,
talking
Mom?
about? Yeah, right.
Rubbing his
If I
little
put
face.
this in my nose, is that okay?
Yeah.
Oh, no. We actually have one color-wise that's really close to the old slime from Nickelodeon.
Oh,
Color-wise,
really?
It's like, oh, God, I don't know why you chose this color, but
You just said I don't know. That means the
Yep.
slime's coming down,
Well,
yep.
right?
is that how it was triggered?
Don't you remember?
I
from,
remember that show, but I don't remember.
Yeah, if
all
you
the
said I
details.
don't know, you got slimed.
Really?
Gosh, I guess you're just not
I-
as old as we thought you were, Shelley.
I think I'm too old. That's the problem.
too old
I was
for you-
probably
you
like
can't do
50
this on
when
television?
that show was on.
Well, when you were giving birth to Kesha,
Yeah. I was busy. I was raising a baby when that show was on.
It's okay, because if you weren't, then, that child would have wanted to have been on that show, and then you would have had to have dealt with cleaning the slime out of their hair.
Oh,
gosh,
God.
I
Which,
can't even imagine.
if it gets in hair and clothes, just forget it. It's not coming out ever.
No, you might as well just donate that.
Yeah. No.
Burn it in a fire.
Yeah, right. That too.
Yeah. That's not going to happen.
But they also make glues now that like have glitter stuff in them, like that have
Yeah.
all pre-made, so you don't even have to really mix it. You still do the normal solution formula, and then you got amazing like glow in the dark glue, or because
Ooh.
Elmer's was smart and they're like started marketing it, like
For the slime people?
the slime people,
Well, no, they already had a lot of them for craft
the
stuff.
slimers.
It just happens to be useful for it, so they're able to sell it on another front. It's marketing tactics.
Yeah,
Smart.
and you do some miniatures painting too.
Yes.
What's that all about? I haven't really never delved into that
it's-
side of
Is it
geekdom.
calming for you? Does you
It
find it
is.
relaxing?
It is. It is very, very, and I think the most frustrating one I ever had, and it's because I was stubborn and insisted instead just straight painting was doing what's called a wash, which is where you take the paint and you water it down. A cloak. off a miniature that was primed white, and I needed the cloak to be black. Took me over 200 coats because I was only using a very thin wash to do it. But it came out so shiny, it was worth it.
Wow.
That's why you do the wash. Like I was gonna say, like why didn't you just
wash
not
is
dilute
great.
it that much?
Wash is great for adding in definition in places. It's great for adding shade. It's got a lot of uses once you figure out how it works, and you got to play around to figure
There's so
it
much
out.
more to it than just like, oh, black paint, put it here on this cloak. Oh, red paint. It's
Right,
not
'cause
like
if,
that.
if you put on too much paint, you lose the texture. Right.
Well, it depends on what you're using the miniatures for. If you're just using it on battle maps, you don't want to necessarily put a lot of detail because when you handle it, the paint will eventually chip, no matter how you seal it. If you're doing it for collections, that's when you get into the detailed art painting end. So
How many minis have you collected?
I've probably got about 20 right now.
Nice.
Some of which are from 1973.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
And the old metal ones?
Yes.
Wow.
I have a couple of Ralph Partha ones. My favorite one is from 1986, and it is a dwarf, and I painted it to be Brunner Battlehammer.
Oh, nice.
And weirdest thing, I will find this mini in the weirdest places sometimes. I found it nearly outside one day, and it's like, Brunner, I know you want to go on an adventure, but you got to understand, you think dragons are dangerous? Wait till a cat gets you.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen the house cat?
And then it'll have to take a long time to pass through that cat.
Yeah, it's
boy.
bad for the cat too.
Because he's only this big.
It's trying to make its way back to Bob. That's why he keeps going out. He's like, Bobby.
Do you know the way to Massachusetts? I'm in the wrong Salem.
Maybe.
There is something weird going on though. Your dice and now your minis are actually like moving around your house.
That might be kids.
It
with
could be.
that
I'm
one.
gonna go with no.
I'm gonna
There's
go
some
with
weird forces.
Some Stranger Things
Otherwise
upside
known
down
as
thing
kids.
happening.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to believe.
Yeah, it's the Demogorgon. Do you stream painting of miniatures?
I used
yeah.
to.
Yeah.
I used to. I had a really bad stream habit for a while for our schedule. I would wake up at 5 a.m.
What?
I would go live and be
Excuse
live.
me? I don't understand.
We're stuck there.
Yeah. Wake up at 5
What is
a.m.
5 a.m.?
Right? And I would stream until 8, and then I would get the kids off to school. Be off for most of the day because if I got back into it, I would be on all day and I'd miss getting them off the bus. That's a problem. Can't do that.
Yeah.
Not
So
in today's day and age, anyway.
I would do that, and then after the girls went to bed, I would go online again. I did this 6 days a week.
Oh my God.
Oh,
What sleep? Who needs sleep?
that's
Everybody needs sleep. So
yeah. Well, you definitely seem to have that vein of a lifestyle streamer where you're like, whatever creative endeavor I'm doing, I'm streaming it.
Yeah.
So how do you? I mean, obviously you got to a point where like this is too much. How
This-
do you set
this
those
isn't good for
boundaries?
me.
And
for me, it's when I nearly burned out, and I should have seen it long before then. Because I was streaming my painting, I was streaming my digital art, I was streaming gaming. I was so over the place. It was a disaster. And eventually I was like, we're going to start focusing down. And so I started cutting a stream here, cutting a stream there. What's working for me? What isn't? What do I want to do? So, and now
Well,
we're here.
that's good advice for everybody, right?
Yeah.
When they're dealing with that, because there is
Yeah.
that idea of you want to provide as much access or create as much content as you can, and then you're like, well, wait, what about
Well,
life
there's-
and health?
with Twitch, part of it is what's called scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
The idea that there isn't enough people to watch everyone. And that's not true. Not at all. You have to sit down, think about what can you offer to other people? What can you do it doesn't even have to be totally different from everyone else. What can you do in your way?
Yeah, well, that's cool. So what did you end up focusing on?
Tabletop.
Nice.
Tabletop. So,
Playing the games. That makes that happen.
yep.
Cool.
So.
Well, we're glad that you were able to come up and talk about all that fun stuff. I feel inspired. I might get into making slime again.
Yeah.
Or at least, take more of an active role in doing it. I think, are you going to Dungeon Master now?
No. But
We keep
I
trying to
do
get-
like you have some very good ideas that I felt like this little spark of that would be fun.
Well, and the thing is, DMing isn't for everyone. Not everyone needs to be a DM. Not everyone needs
DMs
to be
need
a player.
players.
DMs need players. Players need DMs. It's
Do we
back
ever.
and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Cool. Well, I hope you're inspiring more and more people to get out there and, if not Dungeon Master, do some fun creative stuff
Yeah.
with D&D and tabletop stuff. So
I hope so too,
thanks
because
for coming by.
there's a lot you can do. So.
Where can people watch all of your amazing streams as well as follow you?
On Twitter, you can find me at TornPixie Twitch, and then for streams, it's twitch.tv/TornPixie.
Sweet.
Torn Pixie. Just remember the Torn Pixie.
Keeping it consistent. That's the
Yep.
way to do it.
Good
Yep.
branding
All right.
Yep.
And look for torn pixies with their wings broken everywhere.
A
that are
couple.
still flying
But they're still flying because they have their
because they can't.
personality. Dun, dun, dun.
Thank you for the lesson on that.
bring them
I have
full.
dinner party conversation now.
Nice.
Yay.
All of the
Yep.
the ammunition.
That's
for the
some lore I
conversation.
should know.
Boom. That's it. Well, we're gonna do a lore you should know about pixies pretty soon. I
Oh,
think. Let's
cool.
do it.
Yay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Just more inspiration for your book.
Thank you. I'll take it.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
We are going to take another short break here on the Twitches and come back with Chris Perkins to record some lore you should knows. Speaking of which,
Fun.
so let's make it happen.
Okay.
Shelley, you and I have been talking for 3
3
hours.
hours.
Yeah,
3
you're done. You don't have to talk
hour tour.
anymore for the rest of the day. I've said.
You do.
Just make sure you tell. Yeah, crap, I do. I only get 1 more hour, and then I'm not talking.
Do not turn into the Greg Tito of D&D Live.
with the devil's
devil's
mustard
mustard.
in my eyes. It was gross. Well, thank you again for making the trip up here. I hope you enjoy Seattle, and there are lots of fun places to go.
Yep. Plan on finding
Oh,
them.
the places you'll go.
Oh, the places you'll go. It was Dr. Seuss wrote that about Seattle. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Emerald City.
Yeah, it's all those buildings. They're all here. You can find them. All right, we'll be back in just a couple minutes with me and Chris Perkins.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.